Right. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I am Jenny Wallach here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've now been in real estate for 24 years. Yes, I'm continuing to track the time that I've invested in this business and this industry because I absolutely love it. I love that we can make it whatever we choose to make it. We can be a solo successful agent. We can grow a team and have all kinds of different methods of success inside of this one little thing called real estate. So today's topic is all about customer experience. If you've hung out with me at all, I talk about this 5S model over and over again, but I still feel that sometimes we do need to hear things again or remember things that we thought we wanted to implement, but maybe we forgot about it. So this is just our reminder. Every time I teach, I try and add in some new flavor, some new ideas, or some new conversations, and that's what we'll talk about today. So I'm going to push on through to knock out all of these slides, and we're saving the end all for Q&A, mastermind, go deeper, because you probably are doing some of these things at a really high level that I can learn from as well. So today is customer experience. We're going to build systems, relationships, and loyalty. And for today's purposes, we're working through these 5 S's. And don't worry, I'll tell you all about them here in a minute. But why does a great customer experience even matter? I mean, I don't know about you, but it really matters to me. I mean, you are so quick to judge businesses, organizations based on the customer service that you receive. And in today's world, it's even more heightened because we've really experienced high levels of customer service, so we know what it feels like. So, how can we turn this into our business? How can we fold a great customer experience into our businesses? So there's a local hotel chain. I just stayed there again. But when I walk in the door to this hotel, it says right there on the wall, making you happy makes us happy. Well, I can't help myself, but I smile. You know, this is the place that's got the coffee for you in the morning and the breakfast that comes along with your stay. Like these are the little things that just help you have a great experience, whether you were planning on it or not. So the 5 S's that we're going to talk about in this customer experience system are set, serve, survey, surpass, and sustain. Let's work through these here today, but first I want to start with where this all comes from. So there's this red book, and it's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Mine's really old and beat up, as you can see, and I've got the little spiral bound here thing. But this comes right from the life cycle of our clients, whether they're a buyer or a seller. We have this cycle where we can insert great customer experiences all along the way. So if you look at each of these, they're similar. There's some that are the same on both buyers and sellers. There's going to be some differences, of course, in between, but thinking about every step of your current process, what are you doing? Is it documented? Is it consistent? Are you serving your clients at the highest level? Now, see, for our team, we did this years ago. We just did a little GPS. You know, I'm a fan of the GPS. It's a tool, it's a productivity tool, and it's a goal. You have a big goal, and then you've got some priorities, and then you've got some strategies to make sure that you're going to achieve that goal. Well, what we did was we just created that the goal of this GPS was to deliver an amazing client experience. Now, that's not so measurable, I mean, but it can be. And actually, we do have metrics of how we measure if it was a success or not, like reviews received, referrals, happy clients. We can determine if it was a success. So we wrote down everything. So for the priorities, it was the first priority was the before the transaction starts, the during the process, and then the after. And so, could you break down each bit of your business and create a GPS to ensure that you are knocking it out of the park with your clients every single time? All right, well, here's the truth. There are some truths and there are some myths when it comes to customer experience. Sometimes we think that they're just defined by us, but truly it's about what's most important to them. And so, with that, if that is the case, then how can we make sure that we are delivering an experience that matters to our clients? Now, I love the 80/20 principle, and it even applies here. So if you think about it, and I don't know if this is true for your business, I know it is for ours, is that the bulk of our business and income comes from a small percentage of our existing customers. So if you look at your production over the years, most of us tend to be a relationship and referral based business. So, if we know that is true, how are we making sure that we are pouring into those people that already know us, trust us, and like us? And here's another truth is it's easier to keep a customer than it is to get a new one. The acquisition of a new client, the effort, the time, the money is so much larger than simply loving on the people that we already have in our network, in our database. So, especially for today's purposes, when we're talking about the transaction, the process of working with our people that give us the opportunity to help them buy or sell a property, this is where we can extra love on them so that they stay in our web, they stay a part of who we are and our future business and opportunities. Now, Gary Keller says that the data is clear. Staying in a relationship with your database is the number one way to get more business. Okay, well, I think we all agree we're going to do that. We're going to make sure that we stay in touch with our people. And the other thing to remember as we get into this 5S model is that people are, if they're cranky and they had a bad experience, they are definitely more likely to share that, maybe online, at least with their friends, and spout it out loud for others to hear of how they did not have a good experience working with you. Now, I don't like that. That makes me cringe and is just not a good thing. We do not enjoy that. So, how can we ensure that we have systems and models and tools in place so that that's never the case? Because if you ever get that 1 star Google review, ugh, it happens to the best of us. You know, though, that that feeling of how we just sit and suffer through that could be just overtaken if we just had more positive reviews instead. So, with that, we got to know thy customer and thyself. And through the years and the age of a customer, let's think back in time, just back to the age of manufacturing. It could take, I mean, back then, technology and stuff, right? Like it there that didn't exist. So the time that it would take to update a client or to communicate or deliver this service could be more spread out. People weren't as fast in the response time because you just couldn't be with the methods of communication. And then we get to different ages, distribution, information age. You can see, though, that over time in today's world, and this is from 2014, from the customer experience class with Keller Williams University, you can see that today's customer is instant. And we're even seeing that going faster and faster. And this is why speed to the lead is always a phrase that you should focus on. You should always know that responding in a proper amount of time, usually swiftly, is the best way to serve our clients. Now, with of course some caveats, and you are to have a time blocked calendar, you are to have time off with your family, and that's up to you with setting expectations that we're going to dive into. And so just thinking about what a customer actually costs. Now, I did this math, just I like plugging it in for you just so you don't have to do any math. Of course, we can typically figure out the 3% math as real estate agents. And I put that if, a big IF, right? Because commissions are not set. But if your compensation was this percentage, and you could look at what you could bank on your client. So you guys have probably seen this to be true. You help a first-time home buyer. That's exciting. That's an average price here. I mean, I'm in Tulsa, so our average price is a little lower than some areas. But then that first time home buyer then is ready to move up. Maybe some fun life event has happened. So they're ready to sell that first home, buy the next home. Then later on in life, they're ready to sell that second home, buy that third home. So you can see typically prices may go up over time, and so does the size of their house, most likely. Then we could definitely, with aging America, we know that we're going to have even more later on with how life works as well. So just think about like this. Every customer, every sale, every client, so like every family that you work with is around $67,000 in their lifetime. In the lifetime of you being in business. Well, I've been in business for 24 years and I have seen this to be true. People will come back and come back and come back and allow you to help them, which is amazing. So if that is true, how can we stay relevant with them? We've got to know our market and know what's going on. We have to be that economist of choice. We have to know the data. For us, we have a monthly market snapshot where we're able to see the data and share it with our network, our community, and our database. You need to know different behavioral styles, whether it's the DISC or Enneagram or whatever your thing is, just knowing how to best communicate with people who may be a different style from you. And then what is your value proposition? Why should they hire you anyway? These are all important questions. And what the millionaire, right from MREA, it says that top agents can easily explain what services they'll provide and anyone who hires them. So this is your value proposition. So let's dive into the set. First off, set is the first of the five S's. So with set, this is thinking about for today's examples, we're in the process of working with clients from the beginning. So we are setting expectations. This is most likely over the phone or at that initial face-to-face consultation. So that's where we are in set. So with set, this is something that is right from the customer experience class, like I mentioned, and there's really three steps inside of it. I prefer that number two in the middle would be number one. And that's because I believe that first we ask lots of questions. First, we ask lots of questions. We listen, we take notes, we understand, we are getting an alignment and building rapport. And then, with hearing what we heard, gathering the evidence and information, then we can present our value proposition that is in alignment with what is most important to them. And we're going to set our expectations at that time as well. So, do we, and number three, seek agreement? Are we in alignment? You do not have to work with all people. And if you're feeling that rub right from the start, that's your sign. Say bye-bye. Say, hey, you know what? Let me go do some math. Let me do some work. I'll gather some information. And then you can really pause on it and decide if this is someone that you want to work with. There is no reason to, there are enough people out there to help that there's no reason to work with jerks. That's just my note. So here are some ways that we set expectations. Just from the start, we have buyer and seller lead sheets. This is just a piece of paper. Of course, it can be electronic, but it's a way that I make sure I don't forget important questions to ask. These are who are you? It's all about them. Tell me about your house. Tell me about your situation. Tell me about who lives with you and who will be decision makers in this process. And then having a pre-qual type conversation even before the appointment. So, do you have a time block, maybe the day before your meeting face to face, just to go back over everything? So, before we meet, if I can just confirm, we can save some time when we are together because I know your time is important. Another way to set expectations is through sending a pre-listing video email. You could send a pre-listing package in person. Have never done that. That's not my jam because I do share with them on the phone conversation that I'll be sending them an email. So go ahead and check that out before I get there. Again, it's going to save us some time and give you lots of information in advance. Now, something that we've added back in again, which I'm excited about, is the certified pre-owned home. This is a seller pre-inspection. So why this is part of setting expectations is this is helping the seller understand that today's market, a buyer may come in and of course they're going to perform inspections and they may find things that aren't in working order or not up to snuff per the contract. So that's where if we have this pre-inspection, this will really give those buyers a peace of mind to know that you've taken care of or at least disclosed all of the known defects or repairs or updates that need to be happening. So we found lots of value in that, and it's really a great way to help our clients. And this is just an example. We have these little white paper bags that we got online, and we do all kinds of things with these bags. But one thing we do is a little swag bag. So in that swag bag, this is like at the buyer appointment, the seller appointment, the first time face to face. In this bag, we have things like a water bottle, a koozie, a notepad. We've got like a little logo notepad here. We've got a pen, and then what I think is most important is a small thing of packing tape. So packing tape and a Sharpie, because we want to really solidify the fact that when we're signing this agreement, we are in agreement that you're moving. So you might as well get packing. And it's a way to reward the action of signing the agreement to move forward. Now, the second S is serve. So, serve is right after you've set expectations, you've agreed to work together, but now you got to do what you said you were going to do. So our integrity is always challenged if we fail to deliver on it. Now, I've had this happen personally. You get so excited at an appointment where you are making these promises and share all the ways you're going to help them. And then life gets busy. You forget to send over that recommendation or that lender's phone number, and you drop the ball in your excitement or getting back to life outside of that appointment. And if you drop that ball once, you have really damaged the relationship. So, how can we make sure that everything that we say we're going to do, we actually do? Because we don't want to mess up, especially early on. So people will conduct business with people they trust. If you've hung out with Phil Jones at all, you know that that's all about what he talks about. And you, in his triangle, you get to build trust by asking curious questions and then also having empathy that makes you relatable so that then they feel that they can trust you. And that's so, so important. And how we can build some trust here is to make sure that we do what we say we're going to do is have standards for ourselves. Even if you're a solo agent, what is your standard for response time or systems and follow up or getting things to the title company or the lender? Everything has a standard. And then are you leveraging in some tools that make your life easier? If you're a solo agent, you don't have people, then you are all the leverage. So do you have technology that allows you to have, whether it's a smart plan or a checklist and reminder or a one-page document that keeps you on track? There's so many great ways to leverage yourself so that you're able to communicate with the people, but then also allows you to sleep at night, which is the most important thing. So leveraging people would be the third way that you can make sure you're delivering and serving your clients because maybe you have a team or you just have your vendor partners, your title company, your lender friends, your inspectors. They're a part of your team. So are they delivering that same level of customer experience that you expect from them? Because you can fire your vendor partners. I've done it over the years because if they are giving bad service or showing up in a non-professional way, that's just not acceptable, especially for the amount of business that we do and the families that we get to serve. So here are just some ways that we serve our clients. We do what we say we're going to do, period. We're going to have weekly calls either by the agent, well, for sure by the agent, and then also our admin team will check in as well, especially during the launching period of a listing or the under contract period. These are all great times for all hands on deck to communicate at the highest level with our people. Because if they don't hear from you, they're going to start creating stories in their head about you, and then they're going to start talking to their friends and saying how crappy you are. And that is absolutely not acceptable. So if we at least communicate, they can't start talking negatively about us. This is this the reminder. If they call us, if they call you, then you failed in a sense, unless it's something really out of the blue, or they're the kind of people who just like to pick up the phone and chit chat, which is fine too. But if they call you asking a question about the next steps, then that means that we didn't properly set them up for what comes next. That's how every conversation should end is so here's what comes next. Here's what we're doing behind the scenes. And then lastly, don't forget, especially in today's world when we all have buyer agreements signed, that is a listing. So, can you help to promote, and this is a way to deliver an amazing experience, can you promote all of your buyer listings? So this could be in your social media, this could be in your communication with your database. I'm working with this great family who's looking to buy in this area. They're looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath home around this price point. Of course, watch your fair housing wording and follow all rules, but just offering up your buyers, because what do you end up attracting if you promote your buyers? You're attracting potential sellers, or at least people to think and see how you are so outgoing and looking for and helping your people. All right. Number three is survey. We are going to check in. We're making sure they're doing okay. This comes as also a huge part of the staying in communication with them. Survey the customer. Check in frequently. That's what we're going to do. We're going to check in frequently. Ask for feedback. So this could be a point now, if we're in the timeline of working with our clients, that we've set the expectations, we're serving them, and then now we're surveying them in the middle of the transaction. Could this be an opportunity, if everything's going well, that we ask how they're doing? And if it's great, say, that's amazing. Would you mind completing this online review for us? Because we love helping great families like yours, and we'd love to help even more. So whenever we are checking in, making improvements, tracking our results through the process. This is something we do on our team is at the end of closing, we look back and say, was there anything that we learned from this experience? Was there any, and we put it on a document so we don't forget, because sometimes this helps us be better for the next time so that we remember, oh, that co-op agent is kind of a hassle. We need to stay on top of them. Or, this lender is one that we want to definitely follow up with. So making sure through the process that we're staying in touch with them. And this is really the truth is we survey them by checking in frequently. It's all about their point of view, not yours. Asking them for feedback. So we want to be empathetic. We want to check in, ask reviews along the way. And then measuring the results is about, although it's painful, I don't love it, but feedback is the breakfast of champions. That only helps us get better, and we can embrace it and learn from it. And then we just bless it and release it. If it's an error made in the past or a new lesson that we've learned, we can't dwell on it. And I think some of us tend to maybe do that, is beat ourselves up because we might have some perfectionism in us. And so we really have a hard time getting over that error. But guess what? It's over, move on, and most likely the client will forget as well. And then the thing about making improvements is so true. Write down, document what happened, how could I do it better next time? So here's some ways that we survey our clients. So we utilize the promise. If you've heard of the promise, It is a way that we present to our clients from the very beginning when we first start working together that we have a promise. And with that, we first have it's inside of our presentation manual, so it gets covered at the time of appointment. And so at the top, it says our promise to you. And it says, here's our mission, and it's our team's mission statement. And then we go through our promise. And that's just that we're going to work together as a team. We're going to stay ahead of any speed bumps that may come our way. We're going to provide exceptional customer experience so that they have an amazing experience through this process. And then we have a goal. The goal comes after we've presented these things because the goal then says, all right, so we're going to do all of these things for you. And in return, if we deliver on our promise, that you will then, while we're working together or beyond, when you hear of someone who may need some real estate help or have just some general questions or need a recommendation for a vendor or service provider, they might want to refi. Whatever the reason is, when you hear of somebody that may need some real estate help, I'd love for you to share my name. And in fact, we'd love for that to be before we even get to the closing table. And so we are planting that seed in their mind at the time of first listing that they're thinking about because you know how the RAS works, right? Whenever you put it in someone's mind or you get a new car, you see that all around you. And so if you're like me, you hear people at the restaurants that are talking about real estate. It's just like this little sonar that just goes off. And so if we can plant that seed in their mind early on, then that allows them the opportunity to share referrals with us, and if not a referral, at least a review at closing. So that's how we set that all up. And our goal is to have a five-star client experience so that, you know, if you go and look at our The Wallet group on YouTube, right, and I'm sorry, on Google right now, we've got over 350 five-star reviews, and that's because we made it intentional over the last years to ask for the review and they come. Believe it or not, you're not bugging them. If they had a great experience, they're more than willing to share a positive review. And also, anywhere you go today, when you walk out the door, don't you get a little ding or text on your phone asking for a review? They're all over the place and it's not weird to ask for one. So, you know, I think it's just important to survey when we're thinking about our clients is asking, just being real and asking, how are you doing? Right? Like, how are you really doing? Because it can be very stressful. And sometimes we forget that as real estate agents. And then lastly is a referral and review system. And this just a referral and review system. And this is something I share all the time in all of my additional classes that I have is how can you play a game with your people? How can you encourage reviews and referrals? They're just the best way to build a big business. All right, now finally, we're going to surpass. We're going to surpass. No, this is surprise and delight. This one's my favorite. The surprise and delight is surpassing their expectations. So, how can we keep them informed with all the next steps along the way, staying ahead of what may happen? This was a part of our promise. We want to delight them. Well, we have a VIP form that they fill out from the beginning of working together. And then it's fun to do some unexpected things in unexpected ways. So, what do you guys think about when you think about these businesses? They all have an amazing experience. I'm a huge fan of most of these. And so, with that, when we think about our own real estate business, how are we elevating our service so that our clients have the same warm fuzzies that these businesses give to us? So ways that we like to surpass, again, we use our little goodie bags here for surprise and delight gifts when we're under contract, with knowing what's important to them, like their wedding date, their birthdays, These are things that allow us to know who they are and what they like so that we can give surprise and delight gifts along the way. I think another way to really surpass expectations is to ask great questions and really get to know them and care about them, but really listen. Don't always be that selling and telling person, but really that connecting and caring one instead. And our job is to stay ahead of speed bumps. How can we predict what may go wrong and really just bulletproof the transaction? All right, sustaining the relationship. So sustaining is wrapping it all up. We've set our expectations, we've served them, we've surveyed them, and we've even surpassed their expectations that now we are going to sustain the relationship on and on and on. We want to stay top of mind by having events and giveaways. We want to reward the referrals. So swag boxes is a fun way that we like to do that. We want to create raving fans by staying in touch and invite them into our world. So social media is so important these days. So are you storytelling? Are you sharing examples of how we help this client through the process and their success story? And then have fun and engaged even when they're not in the market. So we still want our people to know that we're here for them, whether they are a current client or not. Whenever we have that quarterly invite to an event or touch base, it's not about real estate, it's about them. It's about knowing that we care regardless of their real estate. When you've done this business as long as me at this point, over 2 decades, you realize that database is the long game with some short sprints inside of it, of course, because people's needs will pop up, life events will happen. But this database game of delivering an amazing customer experience is really the long game. And I want to make sure that we are delivering great service while in the transaction so they have a reminder that they know that when they do need help again or their friends need help, that we're here for them. All right, last here, we're going to wrap up. Our customers, to keep a customer a raving fan, they need to continue to feel your presence in the real estate industry. So, yes, it's good to be a friend, it's good to touch base, but they do still need to know that you sell real estate, that you are that economist of choice, that you do know what's happening in today's market and you share it with them. So, here's just the systematic approach. Understand and set these expectations. We want to deliver on those expectations. We want to check in along the way and then just surpass what the average agent is doing out there. How can we be better? How can we help them see that we really care and we're going to help them achieve their goals? Now, here's just some ways that we sustain it. We have after closing check-in calls. Don't forget about people just because you've had closing day. Have a reminder on your calendar, in your CRM, with your tasks that you check in. It's a very simple touch. It's Jenny, I already miss you. How's everything going? Are you getting unpacked? Do you need anything yet? Do you need any recommendations for service providers or anything at all? I'm here for you. It's very simple and it's impactful. And then having your marketing plan in place. So this is stuff that I teach in all of my classes where we have a documented marketing and prospecting plan for our people. So no matter what that after closing call could be, hey, you're not getting rid of us so quick. You're going to keep seeing us in your inbox. We're going to invite you to client events and fun throughout the year. Make sure that you are keeping an eye out for all that. We'd love to stay and connect with you. And then maybe you have a subset of your VIP clients. So our VIPs are tagged in our CRM. So we know these are people that are repeat clients. They share referrals with us. They engage and show up. So maybe they get early access events, or maybe they get special pop buys for them. And so these are ways that you can give a little extra love to those people that love you just a little extra as well. We love doing all of the in-person and online events and giveaways, and of course, friending and following your people if that's your jam on social media, just so you can see what's happening with their lives, with their kiddos, with school, with work, all of the different life events that we have go on. It's so important so that we can stay in relationship with them. All right, finally, let me give you one little thingy here. This is a class that I have. It's called Solo to Seven Figures. You don't have to be a solo agent, but it's just a whole class on going from here to there and all the systems in between. And I look forward to seeing you soon, and I appreciate you guys so much.